Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Infantry Pulse, and today we're going to be doing a Theorycraft video for what I would anticipate calling maybe a skill refinery. So there are a lot of older units that unfortunately just can't keep up in the current meta even after they're refined because they probably got an early refine and they have Generation 1 stats. So I would like to bring these units back into the fold, back into the meta, with rather than what people have talked about a lot as a re-refine, giving these units exclusive skills that they can then use the refines they already have more efficiently. Now with a lot of these skills, it's going to make the unit much more powerful, that's for sure. I've tried to match the skills with the unit's weapon, the weapon refine that already exists for them. That said, with a lot of these, there are probably weapons that, even with their new skills that I would give them, there are probably weapons that would perform better in that role. That said, I think that trying to bring these units' weapons back into the mainstream, giving these units a niche, is something that needs to happen because a lot of these units are favorites, a lot of these units are, you know, things that people have built up early on in the game, and it feels bad that you can't use them in a lot of game modes anymore. So I want to try and bring them back in with these new skills. So today we're covering red units, and then I hope to do one a week going through blue, green, colorless, and I'm just focusing on units that are formerly 5 stars, now 4-star specials for the most part, but maybe some 5 stars as well, just because those are the units that they probably could get an exclusive skill and it wouldn't feel too overpowered. Like giving, you know, someone that's in the 4-star pool, the 4-star regular pool, an exclusive skill might be a little bit overpowered, especially with how far I want to push some of these units to really come back into the meta. With all that being said, let's get into our first unit. So first up is going to be Lyn with the Soul Kati weapon. So in case you forgot what her stats are, they're shown over to your left side here, just so you can kind of get a picture of what she has. And then her original weapon refine is basically a combination brash, assault, and desperation. And so those two things go together pretty well, honestly. That's a good synergy for her to have. Unfortunately, it is a player phase weapon, and typically those are not as valuable as a dual phase weapon or a enemy phase weapon. So she only gets bonuses on the player phase, and otherwise it's just, you know, a 16 might HP plus 3, which does not feel good. So what I think Lyn needs to fold herself back into the meta is something like the Blade Assault skill. So this is based on her Blade Lord class that she gets in-game, and the animation that she has for her crit where she, you know, like does the, you know, kind of Naruto ninjutsu thing where she makes a lot of different after images of Lyn as she strikes a bunch of times. So the idea here is that she's getting a brave effect. So if the unit initiates combat, unit attacks twice. After combat, if unit attacked, unit takes damage equal to 25% of unit's maximum HP. So taking 25% of her maximum HP is a lot, but it gets her into that brash assault and desperation range after a single combat. So all of a sudden, she's going to fire off not 2, but 4 attacks in a row, which is really good. So I could use that for something like a Gale Forcer. So having 4 attacks in a row plus Flashing Blade means that she's going to usually get that Flashing Blade proc off, even against units with guard. So she has a brave weapon that she gets a guaranteed follow-up on that also is desperation, so it's following up right afterwards. So 4 consecutive attacks without the opponent being able to counterattack. So this is just a really interesting build for her. It's made for Aether offense, obviously. She wouldn't work super well in Arena because Blade Assault is an A skill as I've designed it. It could be a B skill as well, but if it was an A skill, then you couldn't run our dual infantry in her A slot, but definitely a good unit to have on Aether Raid's offense. Next up, we have Leo. So Leo's stats are over the left side. He has kind of a weird stat line of having pretty low attack, actually quite low attack, and then just like bad speed, and then good defenses, honestly. Good defenses for a Gen 1 unit especially. But it really hurts him that he does not have that attack stat. So Brainhinder's refine is that it's actually quite good. So if foe uses a magic attack, he reduces their damage by 30%, which is really quite good. It's a lot like Thani. It's a little bit weaker than Thani, but it's a lot like Thani, which is, or Thani, I don't know how to pronounce it truthfully, which is Micaiah's preferred tome. And then also, if the foe is ranged and Leo's defense is greater than their defense, then the foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So that's actually a really, really strong effect. Unfortunately, it's on a unit like Leo. So Leo, honestly, doesn't need a lot to get himself back in the meta, just a little bit more to make him viable. So what I decided to do is give him the Conquest skill. So this has multiple effects, the first of which is giving attack defense res +6 if the foe is ranged. So that's giving him bonus bulk, but also bonus attack that he really, really desperately needs. Also, unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack if the foe is ranged. So it's giving him, he has low speed, so boosting up that ability to deal damage is really good. So if the foe is ranged and attacking into them, they don't get to make a follow-up attack from Brayhinder. He gets to make a guaranteed follow-up attack from Conquest, plus he's getting bonus stats. Also, if the foe is magic, he's getting 30% damage reduction. So all of a sudden, he's a really good unit. I've also decided to bring back the gravity effect that was in Brayhinder's original tome. So Brayhinder used to have this gravity effect and they just threw it in the trash when they did the refine. So I've brought back that gravity effect in the form of Conquest here. So that's just a little bit of tech that's also, you know, bringing in the skills that he used to have so he feels more like a complete and more realized unit. So the obvious place to use him would be as an Aether Raids tank, especially as a counter to something like a Cav line that uses almost entirely ranged units. It's also good to note, though, that using Leo with something like a near save unit, especially something like near save Vector, or even just, you know, good old near save Gustav, those are really, really great units to help Leo, you know, really go off. I mean, that's really good stuff. So distant defense 4 is a good idea for him. It gives him extra defense to make sure that Brayhinder is active. Attack defense solo also is giving him the extra attack power he needs. Being on Astra Season means that you can run both Altina and Reagan to give him a total of +6 attack. And overall, he ends up being a very, very thick unit, hard to deal with, especially as a ranged Cav and having all that movement. It's very, very good for him. It makes him easy to set up for the most part, and it makes him, you know, very useful to run around and grab pots at the end of the map as well. So hopefully Leo would be, you know, more of a meta tank in this way, and people that are Leo fans would be able to use him and not feel, you know, so bad about it. The next unit we're going to cover is going to be Sanaki. So Sanaki has actually a Resplendent, which is really good for her because it gave her bonus stats, and she has a very strong attack stat. So Sanaki has good attack, low HP defense, and then good res also. So she's really threw all of her stats into attack and res. So her tome kind of does the same thing. With her refine, it has a drive attack effect, which is kind of weird, but whatever, that's the base effect. Refined effect gives her +5 attack and res if she's within 2 range of a flying unit. So it's kind of like a bond, but it has a little bit more of a range to it, which is, you know, helpful. The idea here is that Sanaki has that effect because all of her knights, all of her guards that she has as the Empress of Benyon, are all Pegasus Knights, right? So she wants to be near them because they protect her, they help her out. So the exclusive skill that I've decided to give her is Royal Guards. So if the unit is within 2 spaces of flying ally, it has 3 effects. Grants defense res +6 during combat. It gives 30% damage reduction, and then also inflicts guard on the opponent. So that's a lot of good things for her that Sanaki really needs, especially that guard effect is actually quite good, plus the damage reduction is also super, super good. So combining this with a flying support unit, maybe something like flying Bo Hanoka, for example, this could be a really, really strong Aether Raids core. And so the build I've decided to go with is a light season tank. So using close foil and taking a defense boon means that she actually stacks her defense pretty well. She's getting +11 total defense from close foil and royal guards, and then +11 total res from Cymbeline and royal guards. So she looks fairly bulky already, but she's going to be even more bulky and be a very, very good range tank, but also be able to counter those physical threats as well. Staying healthy with Soul is important, and because she doesn't have an auto follow-up on her weapon or her exclusive skill, she needs to run Quick Riposte to secure all of those kills. That said, she has a really, really high attack stat. It's going to be up to an effective 67 with Cymbalin, and then 72 if it's a physical enemy because of Close Foil, not including any buffs she might get from her flying ally that's in support range of her. So definitely this would bring Sanaki into a more unique role, definitely being a range tank that also wants a flying support unit instead of an infantry support unit, like, you know, if a New Year's Valoria example, because she's a mage, or any of those other infantry units like Male Corrin. So she wants to bring those flying units back into the meta for sure, and definitely would do a really cool job, and something that I would like to see Sanaki have, because I actually do enjoy Sanaki as a character, and I would love to use her in this context. Next, we're going to cover Luke, and Luke is an often forgotten unit that doesn't have good fodder and was just a really bad pity breaker the entire time he was in the 5-star pool. So we're really glad that he got demoted to the Force 5-star pool, or not the Force 5-star pool, the 4-star special pool. But he definitely needs something to stand out as a unit a lot more. So he has good attack, he has pretty good HP, he has very good defense. So those things combined make him kind of a good physical engager or physical tank. His weapon is a Brave Sword that also gives him attack defense +6 if there are no buffs on the enemy. So he wants to run something like a lull skill. So in order to improve him a little bit, that's what I've given him. So I've given him a skill called Reckless Abandon, which says if unit initiates combat, inflicts attack speed defense res -3 on the foe, neutralizes the foe's bonuses, and grants special cooldown +1 per unit's attack during combat. So those skills combined is basically an Omni Lull. So it gets rid of any buffs they have on the opponent so that Rowdy Sword is active, which is good. So he's getting that attack defense +6 as long as he's initiating combat. Then it also grants him +1 special charge. So with a Brave Sword, you can run a 2 cooldown special like Moonbow, Ruptured Sky, those kinds of things, Glimmer even. Or, which is what I've chosen to do, you can run a Gale Force set and try to charge it up that way. So with Quick and Pulse, Gale Force goes down to 2 charges. With 2 hits from Rowdy Sword, Gale Force is then charged up. Now he can stack his defense pretty well, and he has pretty good attack to go with it as well. So he can actually tank through a lot of physical enemies pretty well. He doesn't have the issue of something like an Eliwood, where Eliwood needs to double, even though Eliwood is pretty good at that. But he does have the issue that he will charge up the opponent's special as well with Rowdy Sword. So is this the greatest unit now? No, not at all, but it definitely makes him much more viable. So if there are any Luke fans out there, they would be able to use him without feeling really, really bad about it, like they might right now. Because Rowdy Sword, although having a brave weapon with bonus stats on it is pretty good, it needs a little bit more, and hopefully something like Reckless Abandon would do that for Luke. And finally, we have Katarina. So Katarina has a Tome and a Refine that are just bad. They're just not good. So it's an Owl Tome is her base effect, which gives her bonus stats to everything as long as she's adjacent to multiple allies, right? Or even just one ally. She gets 2 bonus stats for each adjacent ally. That's maybe good in Arena, maybe, probably not though. And it's definitely not good on Aether raids. So it's just not the effect you want. Maybe if it was allies within 2 spaces, it would be a little bit better, but it's not. The refined effect that she has is a ploy skill on speed and res. So ploys have kind of gotten out of fashion in favor of sabotage skills. So if she had a sabotage skill, that might bring her more up to date. But again, this tome is just not really super good. But in order to try and make it something you maybe want to use, I've decided to give Katarina a skill called Assassin's Secret. So, spoiler alert, but Katarina was involved. This is spoilers, so if you haven't played some of the Marth games, don't watch, or skip ahead a little bit, skip ahead like 20 seconds. So, Katarina is a assassin hired to try to eliminate Prince Marth. Okay, that's it. So, Assassin's Secret grants bonus to units attack equal to total penalties on foe during combat. If the foe uses a sword, lance, axe, then Katarina can counterattack regardless of the foe's range, and she gets the vantage effect, meaning she can counterattack before the foe's first attack. That's all a reference to what I just spoiled earlier. That's why that's the melee weapons like that. So this is basically a Blizzard Tome / Broadleaf fan effect, where she's getting stronger the more her opponents are debuffed. And also she gets basically a close counter effect against some weapons and a vantage effect. So all those things combined would make her kind of a good user of something like a Null Seed Disrupt Miracle Heavy Blade build. So something like this is a lot like what you see with Broadleaf fan users, or you know, a Blade Tome user for that matter, which maybe a Blade Tome would be the better skill for her. But if you wanted to use Recent Tome, it does have synergy with Assassin's Secret because it does have that ploy effect. So running Null Seed Disrupt is good because she actually has the vantage in her A slot, so she doesn't need it in her B slot. So because of that, it opens up her Null Seed Disrupt. She can counterattack against staff units, against fire sweep swords, against all those kinds of things. Makes her quite good at that. And also she hits very, very, very hard because of Assassin's Secret granting those extra bonuses. So this would be definitely a unique role for her, and would definitely shift her from where she is right now, which is just kind of an offensive mage, kind of just like a kind of mediocre to poor nuke. This would give her a much more unique niche, and hopefully bring her back into the meta and something you would maybe be able to play with if you are a Katarina fan and feel good about it. So that is the video, everyone. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it. Again, this is just a Theorycraft, so it's not super serious or anything. And again, I just wanted to focus on units that are in the 4-star special pool that maybe just need a little bit of a boost. So these were the red units that I've covered. We'll do blue, green, colorless units in the coming weeks, just to kind of like re-explore some of these old units and see how they could fit into the meta as they are right now, without something like a re-refine. I definitely think something like a skill refinery would give units more unique niches and differentiate them from other units a little bit more. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching. If you have, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There's a link to both the Discord channel and my new Twitch channel down in the description. So make sure to go over to the Twitch, make sure to follow me over there. Join up to the Discord, there's lots of great people there. That's also, I stream my Aether Raids offense on the Discord, so if you're hungry for more Aether Raids content, go ahead and subscribe to the Discord and meet us up there for some good Aether Raids offense content. We do that live with everyone in chat, so it's really fun. It's a great experience for everyone. With all that being said, I hope to see you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.